Lee and One-Eyed Boogie Boy.
I'm a one-eyed boogie boy laying down the beat, a little rock and roll and I play it sweet. I play my piano in a knockout way. I go all my hands and my knees, I boogie with the keys. I go. I got one big eye, it looks so fine. I'm Freddie Fingers Lee from Newcastle on Tyne. I like a rock and roll and I know I should. I go all my hands and the knees, I boogie with the keys. I go. When I'm playing the keys, I'm a high so high, playing rock and roll Fingers Lee style. I play rock and roll like a demon land. Look out, cats, I got 5 left hands. One-eyed bites, colored brown, loves boogie woogie and it goes to town. I like a rock and roll like I know I should go in. On my hands and my knees, I'm boogie with the keys going. Playing those keys, I'm a high so high, playing rock and roll Fingers Lee style, playing rock and roll like a demon band. Look out, cats, I got 5 left hands. I'm big-eyed, colored brown, loves boogie woogie and it goes to town. I like to rock and roll like I know I should. On my hands and my knees, I boogie with the keys going. Playing this keys, I'm a high so high, playing rock and roll Fingers Lee style, playing rock and roll like a demon band. Go! I'm a one-eyed boogie boy laying down the beat, a little rock and roll and I play it sweet. I play my piano in a knockout way. I go on my hands and my knees, I boogie with the keys. Go!
One-Eyed Boogie Boy, Freddie Fingers Lee, and just over a week ago I went down to Northampton to Freddie's home and I talked to him. One of the first things I asked him was about the North and the influence it has on the lyrics of his music.
Before I was as well known as what I am now, I had to play everybody else's songs and everybody else's rock and roll. Now I write them all. I do all my songs on stage, and I find it easy to write songs about my youth, my life now, my life in Newcastle, my life in Durham. And easy, I can write songs very easy around this, so I use that as a basis for all the songs.
What was childhood like for you?
Very hard, very rough, very tough, believe it, in a small mining town in the north. It's ridiculous, really. Everybody's knocking the hell out of you if you don't knock the hell out of them, you know. And it's one of those things.
Did it help you? You know, has it helped you being brought up sort of in a tough area?
Oh yeah, very much so. As you know yourself, the music game is a terrible business, hell of a hard business. The upbringing I had sort of made this business very easy for me.
Yeah. What was the first job you ever did?
Peter Cook and Dudley Moore said that, wasn't it? What's the worst job you ever had?
No, was it the first one you ever did?
First one I ever did was a butcher's boy.
Yeah.
That was when I left school. Before I left school, I used to work on a farm and do a milk round and a pipe round to get some money in because nobody up there had any. Then I went in a butcher's shop. Then I went in the cooperative society, which was the be-all and end-all in those days. If you got a job in the co-op, you were set for life, but I didn't want to be set for life, not in there.
No.
So I got out.
You know, the young, at that time, Freddie Fingers Lee, was there something in the back of your mind that said, I want to be an entertainer? Did you look at entertainers and think, I want to be like you?
I knew I was going to be. I was determined. I was going to get somewhere in music one way or the other. I was determined in it.
Did you have any music training at school or anything like that?
No, I had a guitar when I was 12. that was my training, really. My uncle gave me a guitar from America, and as far as I was concerned, it was always in tune. You know, it wasn't nobody could ever teach me different. There was no guitar tutors in those days, no teachers. I bought a set of pitch pipes, learned to tune it up, and just kept playing the guitar. I was a guitarist long before I was a pianist.
Yeah. Did you have any inkling at that particular time?
Did you clench in your fistful?
Because that's the way interviewers usually do. Here we go, we're off. Did you, at that particular time, did you have any sort of ways and means of getting into the music business?
No, there was not a hope in the world up in the northeast. I played in the skiffle group because I was the only one in the area that could play a guitar, and everybody used me in the groups to learn to play guitar off me. And that's how I started, in a group called the Saint Skiffle Group. We won a big competition up in the northeast, the Jimdale Skiffle competition.
There were things like amateur talent nights and things like that.
Oh, the clubs up there, they call them Go As You Please, you know, free and easies and that. And you sort of win 10 bob in a pint. And I was too young to drink the pint, so I used to get a 10 bob sometimes.
And from there, you know, what did you do after being a co-op boy? You know, the sort of top brass, like
the top brass.
Well, the top job.
I was getting £4 a week. Top brass, yeah. No, they've gone out of business now. I think that helped. But I went to a place called Scunthorpe. I got out of the co-op, and I went. My old man took me into construction, and of course I had to join the union, which you have to in the northeast, otherwise you don't work at all, no matter how old you are. And he took me into construction, gave me a taste of the outside life. It's very free and easy in construction. You know, you got no bosses.
Let's get this right. This is construction and not destruction.
Steel construction. Yeah, the destruction came later. Steel construction. You more or less. It's such a dangerous job that you're really virtually your own boss. You know. My old man took me into that, and then I left the area and I went to a place called Scunthorpe, like I said. And I joined the skiffle group there, and that really went on to fine. That group, funny enough, called the Hillbilly Skiffle Group, and I was the lead singer and guitarist.
What year was this?
57.
Yeah.
Young boy in my youthful age, I was, you know, so innocent. And anyway, that's beside the point. But we got a tour of the Star Cinemas, and that gave me a taste of the big time for what it was worth then, you know. But that gave me the taste that I wanted, and I was determined that one way or the other I was going to do something in music and get somewhere. But it was being able to do something nobody else could do, which was impossible then.
How did the piano come into it?
Totally by accident. My favourite record was Whole Lot of Shakin', Jerry Lee Lewis. And when I moved down to London, the landlady had a piano, and I taught myself the piano, and that was the first number I learned, Whole Lot of Shakin'.
You taught yourself the piano?
Yeah.
How long did it take?
Oh God, I'm still learning, to be honest.
Yeah, I suppose that's the proper answer
to give. It's a lifetime job,
yeah.
really. And when you've had no teacher and everything, it's easy for me now, but it was very hard with not having the basics of music.
Did you start with that boogie-woogie left hand? I mean,
it's impossible to start with that. I started with one finger.
Well, what I mean to say, did you start with that in mind? I mean,
oh, yeah. I wanted to play Whole Lot of Shakin', and I thought if I could play that I'd be happy. But I mastered, believe it or not, Whole Lot of Shakin', note for note, at the time. And
there's never any sort of Warsaw Concerto or anything in...
What's that? No, I'd love to be able to play stuff like that, but there's a lot of years practice and tuition goes into something like that, and I haven't got the knowledge, you know.
Would you say that what comes out on that piano, I mean, when you were learning at the time, two questions here. Was it, in the back of your mind, Jerry Lee Lewis?
Oh, yes, it still is to this day, Jerry Lee Lewis in my mind.
And the other thing, I answered that very bluntly and very plainly. Do you find that your personality comes out on that keyboard? Were you playing for that end as well?
No, that came over the years. Do you mind if I light my cigar?
No, you light your cigar, by all means.
This, folks, is a lighter. No, that was just something. I've always been a bit of a lunatic, even in my skiffle days. I love a laugh on stage. I can never see the point of anybody, like most bands do, going on stage and they're so bloody serious for a whole hour. They get bored, the audience gets bored. I never get bored. I have such a hell of a time playing, and I have so much fun, and especially if I can involve people in the audience in that, and it makes me happier. And I have a laugh, they have a laugh. They go away and think, oh, well, that stupid git. Do you see what he did, so-and-so and so-and-so? That's great for me.
Yeah.
Because I know I'm a bit
so
nutty.
Any publicity is good publicity, in other words.
What,
You know, what the hell, what you do on
supposed to,
stage.
yeah, but I mean, at the moment now, fortunately, after all these years, there's nobody doing on stage now what I do, but it's taken 20 years to do that.
Ain't got sense, God gave no good, Lord knows I'm crazy. I'm a nut. Well, if you're living under the water, is it wet when it rains? Is it faster to New York than it is by plane? Between myself and I, well, I wonder who's the dumber. Is it hotter down south than it is in the summer? Bee-ba-ba, biddly-bee-ba, biddly-ba-ba, biddly-biddly-ba-bum. I'm a nut, in my whole life has been a well, the head on my shoulders said the sure damn loose. I ain't got sense, God gave that good, Lord knows I'm crazy. I'm a nut. Well, I drove my Cadillac to Vegas to satisfy my lust. Well, wheeling down in Vegas and I left on a Greyhound bus. I sure didn't set no woods on fire now while I was there. Remember only burning matches, free bad bears. Bee-ba-ba, biddly-bee-ba, biddly-ba, biddly-bee-ba-ba-bong. I'm a nut, in my whole life has been a the head on my shoulders said I sure damn loose. I ain't got sense, God gave that good, Lord knows I'm crazy. I'm a nut. Well, now the poverty wall be over before I begin to fight. And if it takes the time to get around the world and I wouldn't get out of sight, well, I don't mind taking girls out if the girls don't mind going Dutch. They all think I'm so big and strong, but they don't know that I'm a bee-ba-ba, biddly-bee-ba, biddly-ba-ba, biddly-bee-ba-bum. I'm a nut, in all my life I've been a the head on my shoulders said they sure damn loose. I ain't got sense, God gave that good, Lord knows I'm crazy. I'm a nut, you know. Well, now I'm a nut, you know. And I was walking down the street the other day and I see the chicken running like crazy. And right behind the chicken was a cockerel. Now this cockerel was getting closer to the chicken, but the chicken was running like holy. The chicken was panicking a little bit, and he was going. But the cockerel was very, very sly. Run up a tree, run along a limb, jumped up the branch and landed on the chicken's back. Chicken collapsed and fell on the ground. The cockerel went with a rebel yell. Well, man, I just plumb crazy, you know.
Jerry Lee Lewis was my main inspiration, and he still is to this very day. Even though, after meeting him, as a person, sorry.
So there's admiration there for Jerry.
Oh, yeah. Without Jerry Lee Lewis, it wouldn't be me. Just wouldn't be here.
Yeah. What made you say, well, look, I'm going to be a pianist rather than a guitarist? Or would you prefer to be known as a guitarist still?
No, I was at the time in the Northeast, I was the leading guitarist because there was so few. And I've been playing a guitar for so many years. When I got to London, I was just one of millions and millions. Everybody played a guitar in London. And I couldn't get a job as a guitarist, not in any reasonable band. But I thought I was good. And at the time, I really was good. Then. But I mean, that's a lot of years ago. And how I came to be a pianist was so purely by accident. Screaming Lord Such advertised for a guitarist, and I phoned for the job and never got it. But he wanted a pianist. So I said, I'm a pianist, and I could only play 4 numbers. I could sing them all, but I could only play 4, because I was still learning, you know.
Yeah.
And I got the job on those, well, I got the job on one. I played Whole Lot of Shakin' so good, I got the job. But when I come to going on stage for an hour with the Savages, well, I just wasn't in the same class as the other 3, you know. And after a month, they gave me the sack because the sister's out. After 4 numbers every night, the amp kept breaking down, you know, because I couldn't play. Really, I couldn't play anymore, you see. They said, the amp's gone wrong again. And he said, how come it always goes wrong with the breakup? I said, it's funny, isn't it, you know. But I got the sack. But I learned so much in that month, it was just ridiculous.
Did it make you more determined?
More determined that I was going to be better and be good. And, good cigar, this, King Edward's. Yeah, I was more determined. And then I joined another band. on the strength of having a job on Screaming Lord Such, they give me a job without hearing me. They said, if you've been with him, you must be good. But what I did was I kept at the piano, and I kept on and on in the digs and learning more numbers and more numbers. And I just went on from there.
How did the destruction of pianos come into it? You know,
I'll tell you now, the first time I ever did it, some of my mates are going to hate me for this. I was doing a big gig about 2 years ago, I think, 2.5, maybe 3 years ago, De Montfort Hall. And Crazy Cabin was top of the bill, and I was just sort of getting better known in those days, let's put it that way. And I was supporting Crazy Cabin, and I thought, there's no way in the world I'm going to go off that stage and people forget me. I've got to do something that they're going to remember for all their lives. So I bought an old piano and hired a chainsaw and a big axe. And I chopped it up and chainsawed it up. And I just went on from there. People expected it after that, so I started blowing them up and setting fire to them. And I've run out of ideas now. There's nothing more I can do with pianos, you know. I'm not doing it on my own.
Forgive me for saying this, but you really put an emphasis on the fact you've got one eye. You call yourself the One-Eyed Boogie Boy. The title of your new LP is One Eye's Back.
That's it, yeah.
How did you lose the eye, Fred? Or don't you want to say?
No, I've never... Yeah, I will. The first time on the radio, I never talked about it. I lost it in a fight in Newcastle. The guy stuck a dart in my eye.
Yeah.
And that's how I lost the eye.
But you've put a lot of emphasis on it. I mean, everybody should have two eyes, but...
Well, I don't know.
You've put a lot on it. Does it help you in any way?
I have a lot of fun with it. I mean, I use it on stage to take it out, put it in a glass of water, drink it, invite somebody else up to have a drink, keep my hand around the eye so they can't see what's in the glass till they're up there and it's too late.
This is why I ask, yeah.
No, it doesn't bother me now. I have a lot of fun with it now. It bothers everybody else. It never bothers me, you know. If I had one leg, I'd write, oh, one leg's back, you know. The idea of the song, One-Eyed Boogie Boy, was, I don't know. I had the song and I didn't have a title. I didn't have a hook line. And with always using my eye, I decided, right.
Did it impair you at all in piano?
No, I keep bumming into mics, but apart from that, it doesn't impair me at all, you know. No.
We're coming right up to date now. A couple of days ago, in fact, you should have been on recording for Oh Boy. Are you sad about this, just when your break comes and then this happens? No,
the guys have got a dispute. They must have the reasons for doing what they did. It's not me bookings back of it, because I'd left October totally clear for all the rehearsals. And when it was cancelled because of the strike, I had to sort of renegotiate quick for work, and October's very bad for work now because of this. But now the series is coming on again, January or in the spring, so it's going to give me a new boost next year with that and the film that's coming out as well.
And right up to date, in fact, you've shown me tonight, and I'm going to play a track right now, in fact, from your brand new LP. Tell us a little bit about the LP.
I made it in July in Amsterdam at the Rocco Studios, where I make all my records. And I tried to write something totally different. Tracks totally different than the obvious rock and roll tracks. There's some of the obvious ones on, but there's a lot that's not, I hope. Well, what do you really want to know about it? You know?
Well, what intrigues me is the fact that this album is so different and so totally non-Freddie Fingers Lee on certain tracks. Well, let's bring it into the front. There's one called My Mother. Now, I tried to interview you once about 6 or 7 months ago, and it was nigh impossible to do this because you couldn't keep a straight face. This is the serious side of Freddie Fingers Lee, the deep side. I think you are, if you'll be honest, you are a very deep person as well as being a zany person on stage, aren't you?
Yeah, of course I am. I'm a family man now. And when you have kids, it changes you completely. It's supposed to, but it didn't change me too much. But it has to an extent. And I've always had deep family ties, very, very deep. You'll find that with Northerners, they're very close-knit where the families are concerned, and I'm no different to anybody else from up there.
Yeah, and the other tracks on this album are country style. One or two of them are country style, like the Jerry Lee type.
Yeah, of course. There's my influence again, Jerry Lee. You know, there's So Long, which is totally country, piano country. Like you said, My Mother, which I wrote solely for my mother, and which I dedicate to my mother. You know, there's another track called Closer to You, which I wrote for a girl who means a hell of a lot to me. There's other tracks which weren't put on the album, were recorded but not put on the album, which may come out on the next album, I don't know yet. Well, haven't you got nice to then? I try to vary it very much. I've listened to a lot of rock and roll albums, and they're always all the same from start to finish. And I try to vary this as much as possible.
Yeah.
By trying to appeal not only to rock and rollers, but to try and make mums and dads and grandmothers even like beat music and rock and roll.
So you are sort of spreading yourself out a little bit more over the population, you know?
Oh yeah, well now I'm doing nightclubs, where a year ago they wouldn't even let me in the door to go for a night out in a nightclub. Now I'm playing in nightclubs. The rock and roll clubs have always been alive to me. They always will be, really, because no matter where I go from here, which I'm hoping is going to be good, because things are picking up for me so ridiculous. But I'll never forget the rock and roll clubs, and I'll always play them. I'll always come back and do them. You don't earn money in them, as people think, but I'll always do them, because when I needed it, they give me the work.
If there's a couple of tracks on the album that you would like to hear, you know, sort of played on the programme today, which two would they be?
Well, the one which is totally opposite to me, I'd like to play. I'd like you to play. I'd like to dedicate to my mother and to everybody's mother everywhere, and it's called My Mother. I'd like you to play that one. And I'd like you to play one called Rocket 88, which I think is one of the better tracks on the album, the happy-go-lucky tracks. There's no crazy tracks on it like I'm the Nut this time, but I guarantee you there will be on the next one.
The lady in my life is not my lover or my wife. For years and years she nursed me through my life. She's older now and gray, but I love her so that way. That lady is no other than my mother. You'll never know how much I love you. You'll never know how much I care. You'll never know how much that I need you. Always be right here. She was wisdom, she was wise. Yeah, she led me through my life. And the things she said will always be my guide. And when I'm gray and old and have children of my own, I will try to give the same advice in life. You never know how much I love you. You'll never know how much I care. I need you. Always be right here. You'll never know how much I love you. You'll never know how much I care. You'll never know how much that I need you. Always be right here.
knocking down, we're taking care of business all the time. We've been playing here since time began. For Wham Sam, the Memphis man, is taking care of business on the line. Rocket 88's the name, well, the Rocket 88's the game, well, the Rocket 88 all night. From Monday night all through the week till Saturday when it's at peak, we're giving people business all the time. It's a Memphis town, a border town, where every night we're knocking down, taking care of business on the line. Rocket 88's the name, well, the Rocket 88's the game, well, the Rocket 88 all night. Rocket 88's the name, and Rocket 88's the game, and Rocket 88 all night. In a Memphis town, a border town, where every night we're knocking down, well, Sam Wham, the man is doing time. Well, Rocket 88's the name, well, Rocket 88's the game, well, the Rocket 88 all night.
Any funny? He must have millions and millions of funny yarns to tell us about what's happened to you in your career so far.
Quite a few, yeah. It all come out when I was with Such brought the lunatic side out in me, believe it or not. I was playing in Hamburg and he used to do Jack the Ripper. His famous stage act.
Ooh, yeah, with the toilet lid
when
over
he
his...
first did that, we all rehearsed Jack the Ripper act with him, you see, the first time he ever did it. And he did the strangling act in it. And I was always dressed up as the woman, you know, the piano player was always the pufter sort of thing. And,
Still is.
well, matter of opinion. Yeah, well, possibly. And he did the strangling act. Well, Such used to get so carried away that you have to get a hold of his wrists and stick your thumbs under his hand, stop him strangling you, literally. And in Hamburg one night, I was doing a week with Jerry Lee Lewis with Such, and I'd had a few beers. And he grabbed a hold of me by the throat to strangle me on stage. And I couldn't get my hands up in time, and he was actually strangling me, and he didn't know it. Because I had a hold of his wrists, and he thought I had my thumbs up, and he was squeezing away. And I was going bluer and bluer and bluer. And he had me right over the end of the stage. But when he let go, I just slid off the stage into the crowd. I was totally unconscious. He had actually strangled me, you know. And that was one occasion. Another occasion was I did this... We played at this community centre years ago. This is where the breakages of the bones started coming in. This was the first one, funny enough. They had a steel beam across the roof, which was just over the piano. Well, we did the practice lap for getting up on the handstand and missed this beam. Well, during the show, I did the handstand on the piano, took my legs up as I rolled up under the beam. And when I come down, I forgot, and my toes smacked across the beam and broke my toes. And I was in plaster for about 3 weeks with that. Then... I went from there to Berlin and had the plaster off. My toes were great. And there's a guy taking a mickey at me in the crowd, and I took a running leap off the stage at this guy. I'd been drinking whiskey, which you brought me tonight, which I wouldn't drink. This is one of the reasons why. I've been drinking whiskey, and it drives me a bit crackers. And I jumped off the stage to get to this guy, landed on my toes, and I broke them again. Then they healed up. And I was here in Northampton, and I was down by the open air swimming pool. We were playing football, and I run after the ball, and my toes caught in the grass, and I actually stood on my own toes. My toes took right under my foot, and I stood on them and broke them again. So that was 3 times in 12 months. I broke all the same toes. And now they're a bit spread out. My toes on my right foot.
You don't play the piano with your toes, isn't it?
And, yeah, it is really, you know. Cheek. And I've broke my jaw doing a headstand, missing the piano and sort of hitting the keyboard. I've had stitches in my eyebrow. I've had stitches in my head. I've dislocated my shoulder. I've broke my thumb. All we're playing the piano.
Well, ask me some funny comments,
All
you
we're
know.
playing the bloody piano, would you believe? Just for trying to do things.
It
other
wouldn't
people
happen
don't
to
do.
Liberace, would it?
Wouldn't happen to anybody else but me. I think it's the blind side that does it, because they're all on my right side, funny enough. Isn't it weird?
Yeah.
All the breakages are on my right side. So.
The album, we've listened to a couple of tracks. In fact, I've got to say this. I think this is the best thing that Freddie Fingers Lee has ever done, insofar as your first album seemed to have a sort of a stamp of a rock and roll artist all the way through, with no variation. Very good tracks. I mean, don't get me wrong, very good tracks. This seems to be the other side of, if you know what I mean. It's a great variation. I think rock and roll fans, rockabilly fans, country and western fans, and even ballad fans have got something on this album. Is this the way you designed it?
Yeah, purposely, to make it totally different than the obvious rock and roll album. I spent a long time writing the songs. I spent a year, in fact. I wrote about 40 songs and picked out the ones I wanted to record when the time came to do it. And we purposely tried to vary it. It's no good making an album the same as what the album the year before was, because people do play one and play the other and say, well, that's the same as that, and that's the same as that. Well, I've purposely gone out my way to make sure they can never say that. They'll never compare any track with the track I did last year on an album. You know.
Now, all these songs, barring from one on the album, you've written yourself.
2.
Barring from 2?
Yeah, barring from 2.
Beg your pardon, 2.
One was written by Paul Barrett, believe it or not.
Oh, Paul Barrett.
That's frantic.
Some of them you wrote actually over there, sitting in a cafe.
Yeah.
Is this the way it comes?
Oh, yeah, it's very spontaneous. I wrote Boogie Woogie Fred in a Chinese restaurant in Haarlem in Holland. I wrote Rocket 88 in a chicken restaurant in Haarlem in Holland. Yeah, I was waiting for my meal coming. I got the idea for the song and wrote the song. And funny enough, One-Eyed Boogie Boy, I wrote that in the same Chinese restaurant as what I wrote Boogie Woogie Fred in.
Do you have any Indian meals at all?
I did. It takes me the wrong way.
Maybe you get a different type of rundown.
I probably would, yeah. Put that one down to Red Hot and Blue, one of the tracks on the album.
You know, you've actually, as I said, you've produced an album that's completely different. What happens now? Are you going to try and branch out into other forms of music, or?
Well, I'm doing another album next July, and I'm on writing that now, believe it or not. It'll take me until then to come up with enough songs that's good enough to do it. I've just recorded White Christmas, would you believe, for the Christmas market.
Terrific.
And it's a White Christmas you've never heard in your life. Choir, church bells and everything. If it's not a hit, I think I'll put my other eye out. Because RCA, who's my German record company, they release all my records over there. They've gone head over heels on it. They're going balmy on it at the moment. Well, I've purposely gone in and tried to do a different Christmas song. White Christmas is the most famous song ever for Christmas. And I've tried to do it totally different, and I think I have. It took 12 hours to do it. But I think it's probably done it.
Well, I shall certainly give it a try anyway.
If I give you one.
If you give me one. We've come a long way. We've come back from the butcher's boy up in the north of England. We're now in the Midlands. Ever thought about going back? What, you know, why did you come to the Midlands? Does it hold anything for you here?
No. I joined the band here when I left Such. I had a spell in hospital, and I had a very big down period when I was ill for a long time in the early 60s. And I was in a place called Stanley Stratford, which is now the city of Milton Keynes. Then it was only one street. I stayed in a hotel there, and I met these guys who supported us when I played in Northampton with Such, and asked me to join the band. And I just joined the band. I was doing nothing, and I joined the band. And the town knocked me out so much. It was so handy, and the people were so nice here. I just stayed here, you know.
Yeah. Have you achieved what you wanted to achieve when you first thought about coming into show business?
More so. I never thought I would have got as far as what I have. I knew I was determined I was going to get somewhere, but I never thought that I would sort of be doing things now where other people are copying.
Do you find being in the entertainment business, I mean, I am to a certain extent, do you find it, you are producing a product, you're watching the audience out front sample the finished product and either enjoying it or not enjoying it, whichever the case may be. Do you find there's a great satisfaction, a job satisfaction there?
When you're singing your own songs and people are very happy with it, or people are requesting your own songs, that's a knockout. I can't think of anything greater than that, to be honest.
So there's no other business for you but show business?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't want to be destitute. The time's going to come when I'm going to be out of business because I'm too old. And there's always young ones coming up who are better than what you are. When that day comes, I'll just step aside.
So what's the future? Do you want to go into record production, or do you want to stay in the business?
I don't know if I've got the patience for record production. I may have. I don't know until I try it. I don't look that far ahead. I'm for today,
Yeah.
And as long as today's good, I'm good. Tomorrow, we'll see what happens. Who knows?
Finally, as a deep person now, a very deep thinking person, what are the say three main things in your life?
Three. My mother, my father, and the rest of my family.
So you're a family man, like you said?
Oh yeah, well I've got 2 kids, and I live and die for my kids, My mother and father struggled really hard to bring me up. It was bloody hard up the north when I was a kid. So now they're old now, and they're both retired, and I make sure that they have an easier life as they can possibly have, and I'll always do that.
Fine. Okay, well, I'm going to play another track to take us out of the interview, Freddie. What particular record would you like me to play, sort of finish the interview?
Oh, it's got to be Frantic.
Frantic?
It's got to be, yeah.
Oh, it's been
That's
that.
totally me, that one, isn't it?
It's you all over. Thanks very much indeed, Freddie Fingers Lee. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
At the record shop, frantic. At the high school house, frantic. Oh, baby, you make me frantic. Well, frantic when the lights are low. Frantic if the driving show. Frantic when the worlds collide. Frantic, oh, honey child. Frantic, oh, baby, you make me frantic.
Freddie Fingers Lee What a great interview. Fingers Lee. What a great interview that was. I really enjoyed it, I'll tell you. And, well, there's 2 copies of that album in the country at the moment. I've got one. The only other one is Stuart Coleman on Radio 1, so you've had a little bit of an extra special in the Midlands today. The album's not released for another month. It's called Old One Eye's Back. It's on a Rockhouse label. If you want to get a copy of the number so you can get in early, it's LP 7912. Rockhouse LP 7912. All right, and after the showing of the Caister film, which Freddie mentioned in that interview, he's off to the USA. So that should be sometime next year that Freddie's going to the USA. And of course, there will be the Oh Boy Christmas special to look out for when you can see Freddie on TV once again. There's one thing he made me do to get the interview, or in fact, he'd only release the interview, put it that way, unless I did it, and that was to play something that, well, it didn't go wrong, but it was funny. It was while we were taking a break in the middle of the interview, you see, and well, let me put it this way, this happened. That's where we'll sort of take a break. We'll play a couple of tracks then. We'll come back in. Is there anything you particularly want to talk about?
Yeah, where's the loo, Freddie?
That was where my wife asked where the loo was. And he made me play that. Well, you know what a zany character he is, don't you?